Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today we are going to talk about effects of retrogression, EADs, the delays in EADs. We'll answer some common questions and we'll also talk about what to expect from Charlie's interview and what would be the situation for the green card for EB2 and EB3 in the next coming months. So if you're interested in this topic, watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now you might see a little bit of change in the lighting in my studio here. That was because some cleaners moved my lighting around and I wasn't able to fix it before I made this video. So if it's a little bit off, please pardon me and let me know in the comment section below. Now thank you all for subscribing and liking my video. I will be doing the Nike watch band draw in the next couple of days. So if you haven't already subscribed or liked my video, please do so. In the last video for Visa Bulletin for November 2021, I got a lot of comments regarding the retrogression and how it is unfair and things like that for EB3, particularly for EB3. Now let's talk about it a little bit. Now one of the points was, while we knew that the retrogression was coming for EB3 backlog countries such as India and China, why did it go back by 2 years? And that was really surprising for me as well, because it's something for retrogression by a couple of months or maybe 6 months or up to a year. 2 years is a little bit too much. Not to say that this hasn't happened in the past. If you remember, EB1 was retrogressed by several years, a couple of years back. It used to be current until 2017 and it went back to 2015. So it was also a significant retrogression for EB1. We are seeing the same thing for EB3 this time. Now this was expected, but some people are saying that it is very unfair, and I can understand why. Because in the last several months we have seen people who had the priority dates later, even 2013 or 2012, have received their green cards, and now the dates have retrogressed and now people are stuck. Even with a earlier priority date, people must have been stuck and they must be thinking, why did this happen? Now I would like to say that it would seem that life is unfair in a lot of situations in our life, and this might be one where EB3 people might be thinking it went back 2 years and people who have gotten their green cards were later in the date or later in the queue. So why did this happen? Now there are a lot of things that we don't have answers for. It is similar to a situation in our office when we think that we are most qualified for that promotion or that job and somebody else would get it who would be lesser qualified than us. At least that's what we would think. Or even going back in the days when you wanted to become a doctor and somebody with lesser marks than you got the admission and you couldn't get it, or you couldn't become a doctor or an engineer. You would have felt the exact same thing in that case also. Someone commented about how illegal immigrants are getting preference than legal immigrants. It's the way it is here in this country and you have to accept it. Not everything is perfect. Everything is done for a purpose. You think that's random? I don't think so. All you need to do is open the newspapers and the magazines and you will know about it. There were few other comments about EB1C as well, that they are the most lucky people and they get their green cards within a year, and EB2 and EB3 are stuck for decades. That may seem true, because EB1C category was created for a reason. But is it getting abused? Hell yes, I think so. But nothing you can do about it. Just wish well for those people and move on with your life. You are in EB3, you are in EB2, and you got to accept that reality. If you now qualify for EB1 or EB1C, think about doing that. think about what are the ways you can make your situation different. I know it can be very frustrating, but I thought I would say a few words about it. Now let's move on. Now, a lot of people have complained that the EADs are taken very long. One of the specific question is because people have been waiting in their 140 and waiting for application to 485 for a long time, their spouses are on H4 EAD. And now, even though their 485 application has started and their EAD and AP applications have been made, it's been like 6 to 8 months or 9 months in some cases, and their GC EAD hasn't still come. Now, make sure if you can, your primary applicants should maintain their H1B so that you can continue to work on your H4 EAD. This is essential because until you get your GC EAD, and if there is a gap, you might not be able to work. So continue to use your H4 EAD as long as possible by primary applicant maintaining his H1B, because then you will not have a gap in the employment where your H4 EAD expires and your green card EAD hasn't come in yet. If you find yourself in that gap situation where your H4 EAD is expiring and your green card EAD hasn't come in yet, you might want to watch my previous video and apply for compelling circumstances EAD. Now here you will need to work with a lawyer and to make a case for a specific reason to get your EAD, and that is possible. Now here I would like to take a pause and request you to like and subscribe to my channel. Your comments and your subscribes and your likes makes a whole lot of difference for me, because I do read them, I do look at them, and I do take the notes from them for my future videos. So do like the video, because that helps the algorithm to spread this video across multiple channels, and share this video to your friends and family who might be interested in this kind of information. With that said, I hope you have hit the like button. Now let's move on. In my previous video, I had given some information about travel to India. What is the situation currently? What are the things that you need to do? I would like to add a few things to it. Before you travel to India from the United States, make sure you get a COVID test done at least 72 hours before your departure date and time. So that should be very precise. Make sure it is within 72 hours. If you plan well ahead of time, you might get an appointment for a certain date, and make sure you get your results in your hand before you go to the airport. Now next, during your transit in the transit airports, wherever it may be, you may be asked for the vaccination record as well as negative COVID test. So have those two things handy at all times. Once you reach India, I have heard that you are also required to take another test upon arrival in Mumbai or Delhi or whichever port of entry you have. There they ask you to pay certain fees, I think it's 600 rupees, and get your test done right at the airport. If it is negative test, you are good to go, but if it turns out to be positive test, they might ask you to quarantine in a hotel. Now even before you come back, you are required to take a COVID test and show that it is negative before you board the flight for the United States. That is also a requirement, and again the 72 hours rule applies there as well. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that with you. So these rules keep changing. If there is any further change and if I get any more information from somebody else, I'll make sure to add it in my next video. Now I got a lot of comments about the information that I give through my videos, and I really appreciate that, because that keeps me motivated to make future videos. Now make sure that if you have a burning question, do send an email to me. I have my email in the description, so you should feel free to email me. If you put it in the comment section, I may or may not get to you, and I would also ask you to refrain from putting too much of a personal information or your personal situation in the comment section, because that is the area where everybody else can see your comments, and you might not want to give out some information that is not appropriate. So in that case, just email me and then I will be sure to respond to your email. Also, if you want, I have a Patreon link in my description as well. You might want to consider going that route as well. I definitely respond to the Patreon messages, so if you want to go that route, do that. Now a lot of people also asked me, EB3 has retrogressed by about 2 years, so what happens to my application? So my application was current so far, and now the dates have retrogressed. Do I fall out of the green card process? There is nothing like that. You do not fall out of the green card process. You are still in adjustment of status. Even if the dates retrogress, now you are still in the adjustment of status, and you will still be able to use your EAD and advanced parole until you get your green card. Now this status will remain remain in place until the dates become current again, because unless they become current again for you, you will not be granted a visa number or get a green card. So make sure you keep extending your non-immigrant visa in that situation, or if you have EAD or advanced payroll, make sure that you keep renewing that until you get your green card. Now there was a confusion about which chart to use for the month of November. Now typically USCIS says that final action chart should be used by default, but typically in the beginning of the year, which is October, November and December, USCIS allows dates of filing chart for employment based category. So there is a special link, and I had covered this in my previous video. There is a special link where they actually mention that for employment based category you can use dates of filing chart for November 2021 visa bulletin. So I hope that that confusion is cleared. Now some people have also pointed me out that in the third plan C of the budget reconciliation immigration agenda, they still have provisions for expediting your adjustment of status by paying $5,000. I am yet to get that particular confirmation. I haven't seen the text. So if you have read it in some news or some articles, do forward those links to me. I usually go by the official statements made by a congressman or congresswomen or senators, or if it's in the bill text. Otherwise I don't make any assumptions, but if you happen to know where this is coming from, let me know. And with that said, I think for EB3, since it has moved back 2 years, I do think that the retrogression for EB3 for now should be done. Now here on, I would say EB3 would start to move forward starting December. I would be very surprised if it retrogresses any further. In fact, I am very confident that these dates will start moving steadily in the forward direction, in the right direction. So if you are on the border, if you happen to have retrogress from being current, don't lose hope. In the next couple of months, you will be back to being current. Now this was a quick video that I wanted to put together. If you have any important topics that you would want me to cover in my next videos, please put in the comment section below or write an email to me, and I'll be sure to put it in my backlog, and I'll be sure to cover it in my next video. Also want to remind you that please hit the like button and subscribe, because if you do so, I will put you in my draw for the Nike band that I'm going to send out next week to one lucky winner. And stay tuned to my channel. The reason is I'm going to do these giveaways every month. It might be several different products, but I'm planning to do these giveaways every month. So do subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.